everybody, and welcome to Nierychlo Online. That's me, sharing my love for people, wine, food, and all things made passionately. In this episode today, we're hanging out with Leanne Laine, the wine artist. Leanne, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for having us by. And this episode kind of embodies all those aspects. We're lacking food, but that's all right. We had some coffee and donuts this morning. But we got the wine, we've got passionately made art. Leanne's very passionate about wine and the art that she creates through it. And yeah. So Leanne, tell us a little about how did you get into painting wine? It's taken off on you, obviously, and a lot of people know who you are, and your art is all over wineries and restaurants, things like that.
Yeah. Well, it happened really all by accident. I have been painting generally as an artist for many years. I can't even remember when I first began. I'm just ultimately a creative person. And back in 2003, I used to work for a very large company as an HR consultant. And, the company went through a restructure, so they were going to be laying off some people, and I had a feeling my time was going to come, and I did.
Yeah.
And when that happened, I decided to take a couple of months off just to get creative. It's what I like to do. It's my passion. It was my hobby.
Well, it's a great outlet too. It's relaxing. It allows you to just be.
Exactly. It was a chance for me to mellow down and figure out what I wanted to do and paint my heart out. It's what I love to do, and so I did that for a couple of months. And the thing that I'd always wanted to do was become an entrepreneur in some way. I just didn't really know what that was. Yeah. Not realizing that it was right in front of me.
Yeah, exactly.
So actually how it began, my husband came home one evening and said, you've got a lot of art here, honey. We cannot house, we don't have enough walls for bazaar. So I thought, okay, well maybe we should try selling them online. So I put up some stuff. It actually started on eBay.
Hey, that works.
And it took off. It was crazy. My first piece was actually it's a collection of 4 small pieces. As an artist, it was something that I always just done for myself as a hobby. I didn't know how to price it. I started it off with $50, just like the small collection. And a woman out of Texas rang me up the next day. She said, "Can you please take down those paintings now because I want them right now."
That's super cool.
Yeah,
that's super cool.
I know, it was amazing. So I said, well, I'm just starting out as a seller. I kind of want to make this a business perhaps. So I want to, if you don't mind, just bidding on it and we'll see how it goes so I can have, a record, something to show. She goes, "How much do you want?" I said, "Well, I've started off at 50, so maybe we can see where it goes." She goes, "I'll give you double right now for shipping." I'm like,
okay, fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyways, it went from there. It just exploded from there. So I painted something every day, and I just wanted to build my portfolio.
Yeah.
And it's just been an amazing venture. So eventually, I was then asked from a lot of followers to paint some, paintings for them. Yeah. And many times they asked me to repaint my stuff. So I decided to take my paintings to the next level and learn to become my own art publisher.
Okay.
So this way, not only would I be offering paintings that I've already sold to those who were looking for something similar, but it would also be a much more affordable option because my paintings now are worth quite a lot.
Yeah.
It's quite expensive, but by offering what I call our limited edition giclées. A giclée is basically a fancier word for a very high quality canvas print, and
And you also add to the giclée as well once it's printed.
I do. I add to it. I paint on it. It still captures a lot of the authenticity. Basically, what I do with my giclées, I am the person that does it. I don't go through any third-party publishers for them to do it with their machines and their people. I do this right from the very beginning. I'm the printer. I curate them. I varnish them, and I paint them. So it's another option, but it's a lot more affordable, and it gives the look and the feel of a real oil painting. So how I got into wine is one that I fell into it. I one night had artist's block. I had a surge of creative energy. I was in front of my blank canvas, and every time I paint, I always have a glass of wine. Yeah. Because it gets my creative juices flowing.
For sure. It gets everybody's creative juices going.
Exactly. And so when I'm looking at my blank canvas, I'm like, what do I want to paint? And I'm looking at my glass of wine, I'm looking at the canvas back and forth, and I'm like, well, that's a good thing to paint. And so I just went with it.
That, yeah.
Now, the thing with wines, I think what has worked, and I think this is the reason why it's actually done so well, is that it's really brought out my true colors, no pun intended.
Whatever, yeah.
Right. When I paint, I don't think about what I paint. I just go with it. And wine, for some reason, I find very fascinating. I enjoy the flow of wine.
Yeah.
I enjoy the way it looks. It's different wines have different consistencies, which I'm curious to hear what you have to say
There
about
you go.
things
Well,
like
a lot
that.
of your art really expresses that. It expresses, you can see a lot of the movement in the wine. You've also a lot of the female character in wine as well in a lot of your art. The finesse of the female body and everything as well.
Yes.
Tell us a bit more about that.
Well, and that's exactly you were saying, body. There is a body to wine. And, you know, when I began painting wine, and like I was saying, I kind of just go with it. There is a dance to it. And I've always loved dance. I used to dance as like another enjoyment for me. And I just threw it in there. Like once when I was just going to paint wine, and I always want to throw in life and more than just your typical wine and grapes in the Tuscany valleys and things, which I greatly respect. I love those kind of artworks, but I just wanted to do something different, something that has a little more pizzazz to it.
Yeah.
And so when
definitely has pizzazz. You use a lot of color. They're very vibrant, your paintings. They really stand out.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, they're really neat in that way. They just, you know, this is Leanne Laine art. I was walking down the street the other day past was it a restaurant or a wine store or something, right? They were closed. I saw in the window, I'm like, hey, there's Leanne's pizzas just hanging there. And they're very recognizable, which is really neat.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, the women, again, since I painted wine, I sort of evolved a lot of things that I enjoy. Like, I mean, just the beauty of the body of wine, and women are a beautiful species of the human race. So I thought, why not combine that? Landscapes and trees and you know, just pretty much anything. And I just threw it in there, and I think what's come out of that, it's really captured a sense of especially my Women in Wine empowerment with women. I've found that a lot of my female collectors really appreciate that, because it gives them a sense of realizing who they are, very confident, they know what they want, and given how women today are very, very busy people, and so you can have your wine to look forward to at the end of the day. They're not going to scream at you like your kids. You know, and something to relax and enjoy and just really be with just yourself.
Really Now, have you ever had like let's call it an aha moment with wine? Like, what got you into not just wine and art, not just painting wine in the glass, but an aha moment? What got you into wine in the first place?
Well, in the first place, I'm also a big foodie.
Okay.
So
that's awesome.
I love to cook. And in the beginning, when you know, my husband and I this was before children, we loved to dabble with tasting a variety of different kinds of foods, and we have really no preference to different kinds of food. We're very open, and the thing that I have always appreciated was the pairing, not just when you're, you know, eating the food, but also like deglazing. Exactly. And the wine incorporated into cuisines, and it's just so good.
Oh, it's awesome. And when you find the perfect pairing or the perfect moment, it's hard to snap yourself out of it.
Exactly.
It's such a great little place to be in.
Exactly. And it's also an art in itself. Like having been to restaurants where some of the chefs, they just do amazing work, and I mean, just watching it on Food Network or something, it's like, wow, it's you want to taste it. And I love the taste of wine. Now, I'm a very visual person, so you know, it's just even seeing that, it's kind of cool because you can hear it. You could, it touches all the senses with me. You know, wine is not just any kind of beverage. There's a lot more to it.
Yeah, well, wine, food, artwork, they are all art forms. Winemakers are artists, chefs are artists, and they really embrace their art form. They're very proud of what they're producing. What's so neat about a really good bottle of wine or a well-made bottle of wine is it tells a story. It tells about the land, the year it was produced. It tells about what was going on. Tells about the personality of the winemaker and what he wants to finesse it with.
Right.
It's one of the few topics I'd say on the planet that embodies all those things.
Absolutely.
And you can play so many things off it, like art. And, such an interesting
And I
thing.
think all those components also bring together people, you know?
Absolutely.
And that's the one thing that I really enjoy is, you know, wine has sort of been a center of gathering people,
Yeah,
and
very
you know,
much so.
you and I talked about this earlier. In a generation where we're just so technologically driven, and
Yeah.
we're all so focused on the computer and our phones and things.
Yeah,
but wine is a place where we can really gather and connect.
It's
face
such a
to
great
face.
icebreaker, such a great just. I mean, through wine, the amount of people like yourself that I've met is super cool. That's what,
Oh,
that's what wine's all about.
I think you're pretty darn cool
I
too.
appreciate that very much. Very much.
Yeah.
Cool. So, I brought a bottle of. Actually, before I get into this, another thing I wanted to ask you about. One thing that Leanne and I kind of clicked on a little bit is that we're both. I like wine depretentiousized.
Yeah,
And I think Leanne
I
is
love
into
it.
art depretentiousized
Yes.
a little bit. This is her expression, but she doesn't want to get all snooty about it. You just love what you're doing.
It's fun. It's just fun for me. And,
Yeah.
you know, when it comes to painting wines, I just go with it. I'm not the kind of artist that plans it out. I did that in the very beginning. I
Yeah.
found that didn't work for me because I did that as an artist, entrepreneur.
I like that.
Entrepreneur, a play
yeah.
of the words,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I've heard there's a company, they're the Vintrepreneurs. They're the,
Oh,
it's a big
really?
wine company. So,
Oh,
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, fun
Oh,
play
you
on
know,
words.
right?
Yeah.
It's fun. And that's exactly it. Like with my wine art, I did not want to be the wine artist that creates, like, again, not to say anything about other types of. I love the many different kinds of
yeah.
styles of wine art. I have such a great appreciation for them, but I wanted something that really did embody who I am.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm just fun, really.
Yeah, it
relaxed
reflects
and,
you. It's
and
fun.
depretentious.
Depretentious,
That's
exactly.
right.
Well, Leanne, I mean, you're a little bit of a champ. You're a wife, a mom, an entrepreneur, an artist. I don't know how you fit it all in, but it's pretty awesome. You're doing very well.
Thank you.
It's super cool.
It's crazy, but you know, I think when you love what you do, it's not so bad at all.
Exactly.
You know, and I appreciate every moment of it.
For sure. Well, it's all about loving what you do. So I've brought a bottle of wine for us to taste today. I thought I'd go a little bit cheeseball on us, but we're talking wine and art.
Yeah.
So we're going the Da Vinci 2008 Chianti from Italy. See how this one goes. I keep seeing it on shelves. It's about a $16 or $18 bottle. But yeah, I've heard some decent things about it. Now Chianti is a grape from Italy, usually made with the Sangiovese grape style of wine. This is usually your spaghetti wine, your pasta wine, your pizza wine. It's usually a fun wine. It's got that Italy all over it. Actually, now you always talk about wine in the glass. Tell us what you see with this wine in the glass.
You know, and that's good. I'm glad that you brought that up because part of how I sort of emerged as a wine artist, I don't know what it is. I could swirl this for half an hour.
Yeah.
When I studied the movement of wine, like painting wine, it really began this way, and I could be mesmerized by it. It's just, you know.
You look at a lot of your art too, that's what you're seeing. In a lot of Leanne's art, you're seeing her swirling the glass, basically without her hand there. Her hand's holding the brush, creating it instead.
You know, I've actually done it where I'm painting and I'm doing this. However, it's very dangerous because I get rid of painting but you know, anyways, it's there's a lot of goodness to the wine. Like when you think about and I know what we're going to talk about this with what's happened in Japan, and I had recently created a painting.
Yeah, well, tell us all about that right now.
Yeah, I created a painting because I was so greatly affected by the events that took place in Japan. What was that, March 11th? And it was just, oh gosh, I cried about it.
Yeah.
And I just had this surge of I needed to do something. So I created what's called Sweet Embrace. And I put it up on auction on eBay. I had not done that in the longest time, but I thought I'd do it, see how it goes. And I wanted to raise, like 100% of the profits would go directly towards relief efforts. So
raise funds, raise awareness.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, the idea that I had was, and you'll see in a moment, but basically it's the wine flowing, and she's a woman in wine piece where she is embracing the earth.
Yeah.
There's so much goodness in wine that comes from the earth. And given all that's going on in the world besides the natural disasters and all that's happening in the Middle East, I just felt, you know what, like we just need to really embrace what we have.
Yeah.
Embrace what's going on. And celebrate what we have right now, because things like this can happen anywhere.
Well, and that piece really touches on that. I've seen it.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful piece. It's
you.
very inspiring, and it reflects exactly what you're saying.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a very intense piece. So, but otherwise, this is how I sort of admire it, like the colors reflecting off of the light, and and then.
Well, it's a nice wine. It's got nice color. It's not too deep, not too goopy. You can see through the glass. I tend to like that because sometimes when a wine gets too over extracted, it gets goopy. It takes over. It doesn't really work with food. It becomes just pulpy in a way.
That's right.
Whereas this one, it's got these vibrant, just bright, leaping notes to it. It's going like, we're gonna say plums and strawberries and like bright, almost maraschino cherries, right? And so much bright, almost. It just got a nice acidity to it.
I like the citrusy, spark to it.
Savoriness. It's got a hint of that. And now flying corks around here. It's
Look
got a hint of
at
that Italy to it. And in Italy, you get a lot of that earthy aromas as well.
Exactly.
Almost like you're walking around a farm.
Yeah.
Sort of aromas. Some people like to call it barnyard or just
Yeah.
strolling through a farm.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mhm.
I love it. It's good.
Mhm.
Good choice, actually, considering.
There we go. Nice wine. Nice on the palate. Nice simple sipper. Again, it's got that bright, food-friendly acidity. This would work really well with your pastas, your cheeses.
It is. Yeah, it's pretty smooth to me, actually.
Yeah, it's quite nice. That plum comes through. It's good wine. I enjoy this one. So definitely a decent wine.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing this, actually.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
So Leanne, how can people learn more about you? You have a website, right?
I have a website, www.leannelanefineart.com.
Okay.
Basically, all my entire portfolio, I've got over 500 on there.
Awesome.
Not all of them are wines, but I have various subjects like landscapes and still lifes and things like that. But yeah, feel free to visit my website and take a look at what I have to offer.
Yeah, and you can purchase on the website as well if there's pieces you'd like.
You can. I'm also on Facebook, Twitter. You know, it's all on there on the website. So, yeah, and on Facebook, I'm pretty much raw and I throw out a piece here and there and how I feel for the day and how
excellent. Well, I'll have a link below the video for you to check out. You can click on it, go see what Leanne's up to, see what she's doing. Follow her on Twitter and Facebook too. You'll be impressed with what she's producing.
Thank you
so much. Well, again, thank you so much, Leanne, for having us come by.
Thank you for coming by.
Oh, it's a blast.
Yeah,
Get to know you.
Fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, thank you everybody out there for watching and ask Leanne if she can sign off for us.
Wine and wine art, depretentious eyes.
Awesome. Perfect. Here's to your continued success.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome.
Thanks.